I was born to wonk.
I was born to love you.
I was
born to.
I was just thinking like about the song, the Led Zeppelin song, "Every Inch of My Love."
Oh yeah.
Did anybody ever think?
Every inch of my love.
Did anybody?
Everyone
No, I know, but did anybody ever think like that's not what that is?
Well,
Like,
no,
did
I
anybody think it was like a
you
nice
could
love
measure,
song?
Yeah, like I
Okay.
want to give you every pound of my love. I want to give you
Would it be
A pounding? A
every
love
square
pounding?
foot of my love.
If it was every millimeter of my
Hey,
love would be a way bigger number.
There's music. A hole.
A hole out of love.
Oh, a hole out of love. Hey, welcome, everybody. That music means that it's time for the Stupid Good Comedy Podcast, featuring us, the Coincidence Men.
Hey-o.
Yeah, I'm Carrie. We got Gord. We got Marcel.
So tired.
We got Ralph. And then pushing buttons and making sound effects, we got Brent. Yeah, we were just talking
Somebody
about...
take that guy's mic away.
We were just talking about ways to quantify love.
Yeah.
Inches obviously has a very sexual connotation, but perhaps yes, if it's pounds of love, if it is it square
How
feet
about
of love,
watts?
watts of love,
Watts
because
of
then it's
love.
powerful.
Yeah.
Your love is powerful.
Well, how about roses? The number of roses that you buy,
so-
like
right.
12 roses versus a 24 rose love.
Oh, so I've got a dozen roses of love for you.
A gross of roses.
A gross of roses.
A dozen roses. Oh no, a dozen.
A gross is a
roses.
dozen.
Roses.
That's
Yes.
gross.
A gross of roses.
A gross of roses.
Please have my gross of roses of love.
Jesus, put on your pants.
I can't. I ate them. I'm sorry. They were
you
delicious.
hate your pants?
Yes.
I also
Gross of
we were
roses of
quoting
love.
the Led Zeppelin song. I'm
Yeah.
going to give you every inch of my love.
Right.
But has anyone ever said I'm going to give you half the inches of my love? Like I'm going to hold back a few inches of
I'll
my
give
love.
you a respectable amount of love.
Right.
An adequate,
Or I'm gonna start-
workman-like.
I'll
Yeah,
give you a
workmanlike
third
amount.
date amount of love.
Oh,
I think it's
interesting.
called just the tip.
Ayo.
Ayo.
Hey.
Every
That would be 20% in polite conversation.
Yeah, but what with inflation?
there you go.
In some countries, they don't tip.
That's true. In some cultures, they don't tip.
In many, it's really
'Cause
only.
it's
I mean, well,
included.
not only, but it's primarily North America, like Europe.
Oh, that's true,
There's,
because
there's no
living
tipping.
wages-
Where they pay living wages. to
Exactly.
people.
Well,
exactly.
it's built into the price.
Uh,
In Paris, like if you want
Yes.
to sit, it's one price. If you're just
Exactly.
going to grab it from the window and walk outside.
That's
with your beer.
Amsterdam.
Well, I don't know where I was. There was a lot of weed.
Oh, well, that's definitely Amsterdam.
Shut up, Ralph.
So we've kind of circled back to Led Zeppelin then.
Yes, we
Oh,
have.
yes.
Did we?
And
lots
every
of
inch,
weeds.
yeah, the question,
in
yeah,
Amsterdam.
like did that come out? Did anybody go like, well, that's an innocent title? Of
What?
course not. Like
Nobody did.
no
No one.
But I'm just, that's all. I just
Whole lot of love.
Whole lot of love.
Every kilometer of
okay,
my
that's
love.
true. The name of the song is "Whole Lot of Love," but there's a lyric in there. I'm going to
Yes.
give you every inch of my love.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you every.
I'm going to
kilometer
give
of
you
my-
every quatloon of my love.
I'm going to give you every parsec of my love.
Every cubit.
You guys never get laid, do you?
No.
I get laid quite frequently. But not by
normally,
things I want.
Normally in the podcast is now when we would make up our sponsor, but I feel like we don't even need to at this
I
point.
don't think we need to make
I kind of want to know what this made-up sponsor
This episode
is.
is sponsored by Variations and Sizes of Love.
Yeah.
Available now at a store near you.
But I'm sorry, but this is an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Like how to express love in different units, the units of love. Like
4 seconds.
Right, because there's this. I'm pretty sure there's it's
Right, a
Third
unit
Rock
of-
from the Sun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he poses the question: how far? And I'm
How far is
paraphrasing
your
it.
love?
Well, how far is it from here to Montreal? From Toronto to Montreal? How far is
Okay,
that?
so it's what, 400 kilometers.
Right, that's one
Making
way
up
of
a
putting it.
distance,
How
yeah.
else can you?
600.
Right.
How
It's,
else can you-
5 hours.
5 hours, right?
Right. Yep.
It's like the same as like it's $20.
It's a
$50 now gas.
cooking a 10-pound turkey.
There you
or
go,
something.
right? Right. It's 2.5 movies.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's just interesting to me, like the
Right.
different ways of expressing the same thing or different
Right.
ways of looking at it. And again, like that. To go back to improv, which we will, of course, but the mind expanding thing that improv gives you, and that's one of those things is like, there's more than one way to look at something, or the idea
Right.
with improv and empathy, since you have to play. You can at any point in time be endowed as having a certain point of view that you will then have to accept and
Right.
and defend, or with your every inch of your intelligence. and that makes you very flexible.
Or just it brings to mind too of like a game or a character game where whatever, either you make this discovery yourself or you're endowed as the guy who always gives a strange measurement of things.
Right.
So he never says things in the normal measurement people would use. Like instead of saying, I'll see you in half an hour, I'll see you in
half a turkey.
In half a turkey.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a lunch break.
I'll see you in the length of a Seinfeld and a half episode.
Yep.
Right.
I'll see you 2 trips to Montreal from now.
I'll see you in a kilometer driven at 60 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what that can of worms is, but let's open a new one. Speaking of improv topics, I'm sure we'll find different ways to express volumes of improv too. But
Tube steaks.
So people talk in improv a lot, especially students, and of course, or anyone who improvises, about hitting plateaus. Because if the learning curve is very steep when you first start improvising, there's huge discoveries and huge things. I'm doing a visual graph with my hand that nobody can see.
I can confirm.
And then as you continue, it really levels off to the point that I don't know when it happens. You could say it happens after a year or 2 years or 5 years or even before that or after that, where you feel like I'm plateauing, like I haven't learned or I'm not doing anything different or better in the past 6 months than I was, than I have been. What are your thoughts on plateauing and how do you overcome it and all that sort of thing?
Plateaus are great because as soon as you realize you've plateaued, you're about to get a breakthrough.
Ooh,
I
interesting.
feel that. As soon as you realize it, it's like it was a blind spot before. It may be malaise you're feeling. It may be just the last 2 shows haven't been fun for whatever reason. Something's coming. Maybe it's you got to dig down into your relationship work, have a breakthrough in your relationship work on stage or
character work
or whatever it is. Once you've realized, I've plateaued in that, it's almost like the improv eye of Sauron sees it and goes, oh, well, okay, you're dissatisfied with that. Well, then concentrate on it and something will happen. Oh.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah,
That's
no,
great.
Like something happened just there.
No, that was good.
I was thinking I've been
Sorry,
plateauing in talking.
It was really good.
And I shut up.
It's a
I mean, I'm
dramatic
going to
pause.
just say some Captain Obvious things because
please.
that's what I like to do. So, improv, like many things, it's a creative endeavor. Painting, writing, all of that stuff. So with every creative endeavor, as far as I know, if somebody's learning that skill, there will be a natural period of like new pathways being fired in the brain as you're learning stuff. But that can only take you so far. As if you're a painter, you learn some techniques. If you're a writer, you figure out sentence structure and syntax and spelling and all of that stuff. And your learning curve, certainly I'm going to use Carrie's swoop up motion again. So like the learning curve is certainly arcing and reaching up. But at a certain point, you gain competence enough in these kind of things that you might still be progressing, but it is certainly leveled off. The amount of new abilities that you're able to manifest is certainly dropped compared to where you were, say, 3 months ago or whatever. I like the idea of the Eye of Sauron or the delay in you noticing that you're in the plateau.
Yeah.
Because you are so wrapped up in that activity, you might not realize at first that, oh my God, wait a second, I'm not really learning new stuff or whatever. I've kind of hit a rut. So I totally believe in the delay of acknowledging it versus how long you've actually been in it. And
totally.
But then, I think for sure you just find ways to challenge yourself. In improv, you work on, whatever you think are lacking in your skill set. Like if it's relationship stuff, physical stuff, narrative skills, remembering what happened at the start of a scene and having better retention to maybe there's something in there that could help later on. For painting, it's like, let's figure out a new technique with new brushes or new paints or whatever. Writing, it's like, oh my God, I've been writing in this one style for a while. What if I tried doing a different story? And there's got to be elements I can sort of mine for stuff there.
Are you
to
saying
excite yourself again?
Improv is art?
What? Well, I think what you just said there was excite yourself again. That's I know I've felt that many times in the 25 or 30 years that I've been doing improv, where I feel like I've hit many plateaus. Sometimes they last for a week. Sometimes I feel like they've lasted for years, where it kind of feels like I'm not in a way I'm not having fun myself. That's a bit extreme, but it is. And like you said, it's a lot of it is trying something new or trying to push yourself in a new way. And it's not like rewriting the book or anything. It's just like, oh yeah, I've been playing really grounded characters. You know what? I'm just gonna be frickin' wacky and bizarre for a show and see what happens, or I'm gonna do something I don't normally do, because I think that's a lot of it, is that you get into habits whether you're aware of them or not, and after a while you almost start to feel like you're in some ways doing the same scene over and over again or something like that. Yeah, that's a bit of an extreme.
And there's no
measure, but yeah,
there's no rule. There's that rule word again to when that can happen for you. I've been improvising 30 years now, and it happens all the time. I realize, I've plateaued, or I've fallen back on old habits, or like, what is it? And then, invariably the next show something will happen, and I go, oh, that's what it was. Yeah, that's the new thing.
Yeah,
right. That's a really good, interesting point that you said, Marcel. Like, you plateau. Yeah. It's when you know it. That's when you're in for something big. And I think there's a lot there, because I'm sure we can all point to people who've been improvising for years who don't know they've plateaued and don't know they're not that good. And they still come and they do it. But if you talk to them, like, I'm killing it, and they're like, oh, you're not really doing that. Can't you hear people not laughing? Anyway, but that's a whole different thing. Yeah. But the thing about plateauing is, first of all, who says you're plateauing?
Yeah,
if you're saying it to yourself, well, how do you know? What metric are you using? Is it just a feeling that I'm not progressing? And in that case, that makes sense, because when you start, of course, you're getting new ideas and concepts, and you're just trying them on, like learning to drive a car, and eventually you're driving, and it's good. Okay, well, I want that feeling again of pushing forward, of growing. So that's one thing. But also, you get to a certain level of competence, I think, and you just kind of rest. Yeah. Here's a good, that's good. I'm here. And you got to go back to pushing yourself, and to Gord's point, what excites you now? Yeah. And there's this thing that students say all the time, I want to be good. And I would say, like, what does that mean? That's a meaningless statement.
But it is like you said, of getting that high. It is like a drug, and I know, like, I'm sure we all experienced this. The first few shows I did, or the first year I was improvising, however long, it was like I would come off stage in a buzz, in like a, oh my god, like I'm the adrenaline rush.
Couldn't sleep.
And exactly. And now, like, that rarely. I mean, it does happen when I feel good, but when I'm plateauing, I guess to put that term to use, I walk off stage and I'll be like, meh, you know. And it might not even be obvious to the audience. They might think, oh, Carrie had a great show. But to me, it's like, oh, that was whatever. There's no excitement there.
I bet the only way they might pick up on it is that you're not enjoying yourself.
Right.
And they might pick up on the, everything else is great, but no, I didn't seem to really be, his usual.
Loving it.
Vivacious self.
Oh, yeah.
I think, like, falling in love is a good metaphor. Like, when you first fall in love, you can't stop thinking about the other person, and you're like, all about them, and everything they do is amazing. And then after 6 months, you're like, where did that magic go?
The honeymoon period is over.
The honeymoon period is over, and I feel like, we're in a rut. And then this is this time we move into a different kind of thing. And what I would suggest to students who feel they have plateaued, if you have a coach, ask them and talk to them about it. But the other is, like, go back to the principles. Go back to listening. Go back to overcoming your judgment and getting over your self-consciousness. Go back to doing those things rather than saying, I want to be good. Say, well, what things are you doing? What process are you doing that you can correct to make yourself get back to the wonder of discovery?
And also go to, not that you shouldn't go to a coach or teacher you already trust, but take a new class. Take a class with somebody new who will just say things in a different way, or push you in a slightly different way that will suddenly shift things.
Because there are many different learning styles. And if you don't know your learning style, and you don't know your teacher's teaching style, they may not mesh. You might be a list, an audio or a visual or a kinesthetic learner, and you might have a different kind of teacher. So go and find things. Especially, this is always an interesting thing, who do I terrifies me, or who do I I don't like, or like, just to try it. I wouldn't say go 8 weeks, but you can go do a drop-in with someone you may not like, just to see, because maybe there's something there. What's that about?
Like back to our topic from a previous or possibly future one, depending on the order these come out in, podcast of games that scare us or we don't like. Play a game you've never played before, an improv game you never played before, or haven't played in years, or whatever, or one that you've been intimidated by, or I don't know.
Well, all of these things go back to the same idea of rediscovering the process, the sense of discovery, the wonder of it that you had that made you just fall in love with it at the beginning. And I know it's a very common thing, plateauing. Everybody I know has gone through it.
Yep.
So and it's how do you find your way out of it?
And I don't think it's unique to improv. I think it's
I
in
think-
any profession you plateau. I like to think we've explored every inch of plateau.
I was just gonna say.
I want to give you every inch of my plateau.
Wow. Thank you so much for this.
And that music, not the Zeppelin, that theme music means that it's come to the end of another Stupid Good Comedy podcast. The Coincidence Men do a show the fourth Friday of every month at the SoCap Comedy Theater, 154 Danforth Avenue. Check out us on the socials at coincidencemen.com and on Instagram and Facebook and all those other places. And there's merchandise available through coincidencemen.com. And hey, there's all sorts of things to look at on the World Wide Web too. So see where it takes you.
Yes, and remember, this podcast and everything by the Coincidence Men is proudly brought to you by
Qualm.